So starting the test drive in this Nissan Versa S, not the quickest car, but that's not what you get this for. You get it for the fuel economy, you get it for the cheap price, you get it because it's cheaper to maintain, it's just easy to drive. There's nothing special here. Now you get your Bluetooth, your radio functionality, all of that, but other than that, if you want to go ahead and put a bunch of like aftermarket wheels on here, things of that nature, you can, but for a lot of people, this is all they want. They don't want to pay anything extra for stuff they're not going to use. And this is where this car really shines. There's a market for that. There's a big market for that, especially as the economy kind of slows down. People are kind of trying to be less frugal with their money. And for those that are not trying to run up debt as quickly, this is a good way to do it, even if you can't necessarily afford to pay cash for it, but you need some good transportation. Now, driving this around town normally, having the CVT makes this an easy vehicle to get up to speed, but if you floor it, I feel like you're not necessarily getting what you should out of it. Most cars, you kind of get to the red line point, it pulls harder, but this just feels like it's wasting that additional thrust, if you will. So kind of giving it half throttle to accelerate is probably best, just because it's again, it's a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder made with a CVT. It's not a speed demon. It doesn't have a turbo to help you accelerate, so you just kind of have to rely on the CVT to take away shift points, and that's where this is a bit better than if you had just a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4 with let's say a 6-speed automatic transmission or something that has harder shift points. But overall, I mean, the ride quality is decent. I feel like the steering is what Nissan buyers kind of like. It's a very loose steering feel to me, but I like a harder steering wheel. I like something that, I mean, this is good, but it's almost like it's light depending on how hard you turn it. So I like a sportier steering wheel, a tougher grip, something that feels more like a go-kart, I guess, where it's not as easy to turn one way or another. But just driving it around this back road here, this road is pretty beat up. Trucks and machinery go up and down this thing all day, every day. So it's a little louder in here. We're gonna see how it really rides and how the sound acoustics really are when we get on the interstate. But right now, still not necessarily annoying. Now this button here to my left, that does change what you're seeing on your gauge cluster in the middle there, which I was not aware of. But now I can see my fuel economy, so that'll be nice to see. But again, it's a very bare bones vehicle. This is the S trim level, so this is really one of the cheapest cars you can get from Nissan nowadays. Cheaper than the Sentra, certainly cheaper than the Altima. I'd say cheaper than the Kicks. And I don't know if there's anything smaller or more inexpensive than the Versa right now, but again, under 20 grand for this car. We'll give it a little pull here. Yeah, that's what I mean. Just like a mid-grade throttle really helps this thing go. As opposed to flooring it, I feel like it doesn't do anything differently. I almost feel like it's slower. But I mean, comparing this to a similarly equipped Toyota, I don't even know who else makes cars like this anymore. They all do the same thing. They're meant to be cheap vehicles, again, easy to maintain. And just for that buyer that wants to be as cheap as possible with their vehicle and be as fuel efficient as possible. Let's put it in sport, give it a little throttle here. So like I said, if you don't floor it, it actually feels more capable as opposed to putting your foot into it and just feeling like the engine's about to blow up. But of course, with this one being an S, we don't have any special safety features, so we don't get the adaptive cruise, we don't get any lane keeping system, we don't have blind spot monitors. I believe we still have the pre-collision system, which is nice. And again, having those rear parking sensors is a nice touch, but I would have rather had blind spot monitors as opposed to the rear sensors, just because I have a backup camera, so it kind of defeats the purpose of the sensors because I can see. So I really don't need something telling me how close I am to something else when I can see directly through a camera. But the ride quality is a bit better here. Still not super smooth, but honestly, with it being as windy as it is outside, I'm impressed by the sound acoustics in here. But again, for this to be a $20,000 car, everything is pretty good for the price point. And I'm on 15-inch steel wheels, so I'm not really looking for a fantastic ride or Rolls-Royce ride quality, no tire noise, things like that. I'm just expecting what I'm getting right here, which is just simple transportation. But I want to give one more thank you to John Roberts Nissan for allowing me to review this Versa today. And with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2024 Nissan Versa in the S trim level.